What It Look Like TV. We are back. Thank you for joining me. Hit that like and subscribe button on everything that the YouTubers tell you to do. Do that for me. But anyway, today we're going to get into a topic that's a little near and dear to me right now because it's been frustrating me. Because I've been feeling like I've been being forced and back into a corner, and it's really turning me off. It's this whole tipping situation. I always felt, since the first time tipping was introduced to me, that the restaurant industry was pulling a fast one on everybody, getting y'all to pay the wages of their most important employees. If you have a restaurant, your most important employee is the person that's going to get the food from the kitchen to the customer. And y'all done tricked the general public into paying the wages for your most important employees. I always thought that was some flim-flam. That's just me personally. You work here. I'm supposed to be gracious that you got me some water, you got me something to drink. You work here. Tips don't keep them lights on. People coming paying regular bills keep them lights on. But let's get into this Today article. Let's see how the rest of the country feel about it. Then we'll come back and we'll bust it down a little bit further. But as y'all can see, that this one's underneath my skin because they're just hitting you everywhere you go. Took my daughters to get some frozen yogurt and it was even a tip there. And we got the yogurt. How you gonna ask for a tip on a self-serve type situation? But let's slide over to the video, man. I'm talking too much. Let's check it out.
From dine-in restaurants to independent coffee shops and even the vet's office, the pressure to tip has reached a tipping point.
I'm sorry to say this, but tipping culture has gotten out of control.
Patrons often feel guilted into adding a few bucks to the tab as more places turn to those tablets with preset tipping options.
I will be ordering from a kiosk and the kiosk asks me if I want a tip. Why am I needing to tip?
With takeout and delivery booming since the pandemic, many are questioning if tipping is always necessary.
I'm not tipping for my food arriving cold so you could make more money.
Some service workers are striking back. Videos posted online reportedly show orders piling up for people who don't tip up front.
No one in their right mind is going to want to go 5+ miles for under $3 pay. And yeah, we could get a cash tip at the end, but it's so rare it's not worth the risk.
The reality, delivery driver.
And that's my problem with it right there. That's my problem, the entitlement that it builds. As you can see, she was not concerned about the service that she was going to give. She was just worried about the tip that she was going to get. And once people start thinking things are owed to them, they start slacking off on their part of the deal.
Earn a base pay. DoorDash says that ranges from $2 to $10 per order, depending on time and distance. And the company says 100% of tips are passed along to drivers. Other apps have similar pay structures. While at restaurants, bartenders and waitstaff are often paid below minimum wage. One study finding more than half of their earnings come from tips alone.
Now, that right there is ridiculous. That right there is ridiculous. And that's all because them greedy mofos thought that y'all was getting something that they didn't have access to. So they just said, screw your pay altogether. They can pay you. We'll let the general public pay you because we can't be paying you an actual valuable salary. And then you have to deal with the actual people hand to hand. So that would be too much of a benefit in your favor. So you know what? We'll pay you $2 and some jingles an hour. That's how greedy these people are. And by us continue to tip, we're okaying what they're doing. Like to me, I think it's sad. I think it's sad. And I tip and I try to look out, especially for my younger people. But I see the game that's being played. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to pay that tab and get a meal. And if I can't go in the back and cook the meal myself, then somebody's going to have to bring me the meal. So you can miss me with that one. I'm not buying that.
Reason, etiquette experts recommend tipping 20% for average dine-in and delivery orders. If you're ordering takeout, a tip is always appreciated, though the amount you give for carry-out orders can be 10 to 15% of the bill.
Why are you giving a tip for a carry-out order? Let's go to the big one. Why are we giving a tip for a carry-out order? You need orders on your bottom line in order for the doors to stay open. If nobody is patronizing your restaurant, you will close. So if someone says, I don't have time to sit down in there, but I have enough time to pick up a meal and take it home, they are adding to your bottom line. Forcing them to tip for a service that they did not receive is working against you. It's counterintuitive. It makes no sense. It's greedy. You didn't give me any service to even be asking for a tip. How could you sit here and say 10 to 20% for a carry-out order? So now I have to pay you a couple extra dollars to pick my food up off the counter, bring it to the other counter and hand it to me? Even if it's car side and you walk it out to the car, if you get rid of all these car side and takeout orders, I guarantee a lot of these restaurants will be closing down. We have to stop the greed, people.
Somebody is providing a service for us. If they are serving us, if they are putting bags of food together, I think it's very important to tip.
Still, there are situations.
If someone is bagging the food up, once again, what did I just tell y'all, people? What did I just say, people? If it was nothing to bag up, it would be nothing on their bottom line. She's just somebody trying to get you to suckered and stay underneath the program. And think about it, man. It makes no sense. If you can make this make sense, hit me up in the comments. But now they're even pushing hard. This is supposed to be an article against tipping. They're in the article trying to tell you to tip for takeout. This is backwards.
You can turn down the tip jar. Insiders say examples include picking up clothes from the dry cleaner, or if you receive care from medical professionals. Even services from highly skilled workers like plumbers or electricians can be completed without the guilt tip. So here's the bottom.
But you notice they ain't say nothing about them restaurants. You can skimp on everybody, but don't skimp on them restaurants. Good service, bad service. Make sure you leave at least 15%. We suggest 20%.
With all of this, keep in mind when it comes to service workers, they depend on the tips that they receive. While it was once the custom to tip after service is complete, some workers are now taking into account whether or not you tipped up front, and that could actually impact the quality of service. No judgment, but that's just the reality that people are facing.
No. That's backwards. And that's totally rewriting the rules of tipping. I tip you based on your service. If you start tipping people before they give you the service, do you think that they're really going to be worried about giving you good service? Especially if they're the type of people that's only giving out service and only treating people according to how much money they're going to give them. Do you really think that that person could be trusted with tipping first? If you just listen to the logic that a lot of these people and a lot of times that's displayed on the internet, it makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. The girl gonna sit up here and say that she ain't gonna do this and she ain't gonna do that if the tip ain't right. But you want somebody to trust you to give quality service and tip you up front. If you give good service, you give good service. People that give good service, it'll eat them up to give bad service. So missing out on that little couple dollars, they just do a good job. They don't do a good job depending on if this happens or if that happens. They do a good job. The fact that you got contingencies on when you're going to do a good job says a lot about you. That's why tipping up front shouldn't be done.
Great
Just
tip I got from
character.
Holly, who does our radio show. She was like, just keep some singles, keep some cash on you so you can add something to the tip jar. You don't feel the pressure of adding it to your credit card or whatever, but at least you're tipping when
I
you're
remember
getting things.
working at Ponderosa.
At least you're putting something in the jar in front of people so people see that you're no. If you don't feel like the service is good, or if you don't have it, don't tip. Start making these companies that have these big CEOs that's taking all these stock options and big vacations and bonuses. Let them worry about paying their employees instead of having them guilt trip you to do it. I don't own a restaurant, so why am I paying employees? I patronize one.
Long time ago, and when people didn't tip, you couldn't believe because you were running around. So I always feel like if you have more, give more. If you have less, give what you can give.
What you can.
Especially these guys who are making below minimum.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
They're
not
relying on
cool.
that.
Whose fault is it that they're making below minimum? Why don't you get on these restaurants' backs and tell them to pay their employees what they're worth? Why don't we do that? Why don't we start making these restaurants get on that campaign instead of attacking the general public to do something that billionaires can finance for themselves?
Yeah.
If you can afford to tip. Tip.
Yeah.
Be
All
generous.
Right. Thank you, Vicki.
You know someone who always tips?
Al Roker.
Always tips.
Well,
Big tipper.
Learned from my great co-anchor, Sue Simmons. She said, because you're on
Yeah, but anyway, man, let's slide back over here And on that note, I'm going to wrap this one up and we can get on up out of here. But y'all hit me up in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about this. This tipping conversation just really gets underneath my skin because they really need y'all to think about this one, people. They really got us suckered in to paying their employees for them. Mixed with them throwing these tips on everything, them being greedy, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes, and a lot of people are starting to realize, pay your own people, man. And if you're willing to work for $2.13 an hour, if you're willing to roll the dice and take that gamble, some days the slot machine gonna pay out and some days it's not. But you can't complain because you know the game that you playing in. They make it very clear to you before you jump in it and you done heard the horror stories. And on that note, it's your man Uncle Aaron. It's What It Look Like TV. Y'all make sure y'all hit those comments up and tell me how y'all feel about this. Like I said, this one underneath my skin. And I'm gonna check y'all out on the next one. Y'all take it easy. I'm out of here.